Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of The Outsiders.
I'm Seth Austin,
And I'm Todd Pickering,
and we're a couple actors stuck on the outside.
trying to make our way to the inside of
The biz.
Hollywood, baby.
Ha!
How was that? That's good. We're getting good, aren't we?
I think that's much better. I think we're getting there. I think it's going to take like a couple thousand more times, maybe give or take, but we'll get there.
No, we're professional, Seth. It'll take one more time. That was, I don't know.
I'm
might have
joking. I think that was good.
That might have to be my ringtone.
Yeah, maybe we should spend another couple of days on it. No, that was great. A ringtone. That would be a random ringtone. You're in the middle of Trader Joe's, and all of a sudden, your own voice and mine come on your phone, and people are like,
"You go, what the hell's that?" I go, "Excuse me, Todd Pickering from The Outsiders. You don't know The Outsiders? That's how we're going to advertise, Seth."
I mean,
I'm going to shop a lot.
We've had 3 episodes, and where are you on this train? You should be listening to us at this point.
We've had 3 episodes, and I'm already demanding shit in my dressing room, man.
We're a big deal, Todd. We are a big deal.
Huge.
We're a big deal. Okay.
One damn co-star in a Netflix series, and I lose my shit.
That's it. His head is as big as his hair. Oh.
Your head's just gonna have to get bigger, I guess.
I'm just
gonna
shave. Have to. What do you mean? Do I shave?
Your head.
I'm not an animal. Of course I shave. I do my hair. Yeah, I do it myself. I do it about once. I try to do it once a week. I put the clippers all the way down. And actually, it needs to be done at this point. There's a little too much fuzz up here for my liking. I like the contrast of the very short up top and then the shaggy beard. So yeah, I take the clippers, I put it all the way down to 0, and I just do it myself in the shower.
Yeah.
And yeah, so and I've been doing that for years. At some point, we'll actually talk about the fact that I did have hair at one point. That's a good show.
I saw you with hair.
Yeah, it was an interesting time.
It's a Hollywood problem. I mean, I'm mentioning it all the time on my stupid pandemic posts out of boredom and my big hair, and people, I love your hair. I'm like, it's just a pain in the butt, is what I'm saying, and it's a problem in we shouldn't complain for dudes.
No, we have it a million times easier than many, many, many other people out there. Let's be clear about that to begin with. We're just talking about everyone's got their problems, right? These happen to be ours. They're hair related for the most part. So what are you gonna do?
But another episode on hair.
Yeah, that's gonna be one for a later date because we need to get back on track. We finished off. We can't do it. We just like to digress. Maybe we should call ourselves the Digressers. We were talking about Hollywood last time, the show Hollywood,
and Hollywood actually,
and Hollywood,
the place or the idea, and the show,
Todd was on it, and he was brilliant in it. Let's just say that one more time. He was awesome. He was great in it. And yeah, so we were talking about. What did we finish with? We were finishing up talking about the auditions.
We really talked about casting directors and auditions. So if you haven't seen that episode,
audition process. So do we want to start off with talking about the on-set experience?
Sure. Okay. Well, I mean, see, we don't plan anything. I will segue with. Todd was brilliant. You're only brilliant. You're only as brilliant as your wardrobe, your director, your co-stars. That's okay. There's a digression right away. You're learning the Hollywood terms. Co-star is under 5 lines, and a guest star is
more than 5 lines.
5. I don't understand those terms. I'm a word person. It seems like they should be flipped, because a guest is somebody you invite to your house that, if they're rude or whatever, you might not invite back. Yeah. A co-star seems to be like,
your
Simon
co-star.
And Simon.
Yeah, no,
Kate and Allie.
Yeah, when I first
Those are co-stars.
When I was living in New York and I first heard that term, I had the exact same reaction. I was like, as a word guy, I was like, this makes no sense, and I'm just going to have to deal with it.
Right. So there's the lesson. A co-star is has smaller part than a guest star. Let's just say that. And there are no small parts. Yeah, 1 line smaller than 3 episodes.
I mean, objectively, yeah, of course. Empirically, there are smaller roles than others, but
correct.
At the same time, a very small role could have a bigger impact than an empirically larger role.
Correct.
Depending on the character and how it's written and all that stuff.
And then back to education. See, digression. We're only going to talk about Hollywood after we get done with this. I'm from Nebraska. We've talked about this. Got my degree in Nebraska. Moved to San Francisco, got my equity card there, moved to New York, and moved to LA about 5 years ago. That's the short version. And when I got into an acting class, because we have been pushing, learning history, taking classes, people started talking about whether they had a commercial or a theatrical agent. And my first day in class, and I went,
I know where you're going.
What's a theatrical agent? This is Hollywood. Nobody does theater here. That's Broadway. And my acting teacher went, oh, you mean legit? You're thinking legit, like in New York. So in New York, they call it legit and commercial. Legit.
Yeah.
Which is, in my opinion, the correct way. It still is weird to call it theatrical here because it's film and TV here.
Right. Yeah. And there's no theater really. Not most people don't do theater here, it just doesn't happen as much. Although not to say that I haven't
for the terms.
I have seen some really good theater here, but I agree. Those terms are terrible. Yeah.
So I don't like the terms co-star and guest star is what we've learned so far today. And I don't like the term theatrical agent in California, specifically Los Angeles. So there's the record. Let the hate mail begin.
Back to things you don't hate. Being on set with awesome people, acting, Patti LuPone, acting opposite Patti LuPone. We'll talk about her a little later. But what was your experience on set? How did the takes go? How did the preparation go? The rehearsal, all of it. Let's talk about all of it.
Okay, so we'll talk right about Patti LuPone. So you get on set in the morning, and it's the first scene. It might have been the first on location. So we were on location, and I'm going to meet Patti LuPone. I wonder how that's going to go. And I walked into the trailer, and of course, women with the wigs and makeup and hair, they're in it big time. And my hair needed to be parted and flipped and also, and my hair tamed, yeah. So Samara Weaving, who Sam played her daughter Claire, was sitting in the chair, and I was next to her, and I was glad that Patti LuPone was on the other side. So nice, she right away. Oh, you must be playing Red Teddimer, duh. You've got red hair. I'm Samara Weaving, Sam, and Patti LuPone leaned back and went, Patti LuPone. I mean, how blessed are you to have that damn name, right?
Yeah, it's a great stage name, and I can actually hear her saying that. Like when you did that impression, I can hear her being like,
Patti LuPone.
Yeah.
And it's like, and done. Yeah. And scene. Like now I've met Patti LuPone.
Yeah, so she's a living legend, man. She
is, and she's amazing. So once we get onto set, and we were on location, we're in a tiny room. And Joe Montello, who then I met him on set. He wasn't in the makeup trailer. Who played Dick, who is amazing. One of my favorite characters in the show. We could do another episode. I don't know. I think we've done a good job of that. But I really like that character. Very interesting. Great acting, and didn't know he had such a huge role.
Yep.
So Patti LuPone said, I think we should run lines. Great. That puts me at ease. And we ran lines. Yeah. And we were all fine. So that was it. She's, sounds good. Now we'll get direction when we get on set. The director was Janet Mock, who was a producer also. She directs Pose. I think she runs the show. She was on the writing staff of the original show. Mm-hmm. So we get on set. And it's a group effort, man. Patti LuPone is Juilliard trained.
Yeah.
And Seth and I, 2 episodes, we've talked about education and how important it is, and you got to get it. I don't think
you have to keep getting it. Keep training. You got to hang in there.
Yeah, and that's another topic. I've had actor friends here in LA. Well, you got a BFA. I didn't get a BFA. It doesn't really matter, but you have to train.
Yeah, yeah. You have to. If you're not working all the time, you have to be training all the time, I think. And, I can honestly say, and I can admit this now, I used to, much like in that first episode, I talked about how I was too cool for background work.
Yeah.
For a long time, I thought I was too cool to keep training, and then and then I realized that was how wrong that attitude was, and not to digress again, but man, that was just, I really learned from that. I really since I got back into training, my work, my attitude, my everything about myself in relation to the business and life in general has gotten better, just from getting back into training. And I don't promote one school over the other. I don't think, one method of skinning the cat is better than the other, but I do think that you got to find one that you enjoy, that works for you, and that makes you a better actor, and just dive into it.
That is not a digression. Since that's a topic with us, there's sometimes we digress, but we do plan a little, people.
We do.
And
we try.
We are talking about being on set, and we're talking about training. We mentioned nerves last time, remember, at auditions?
Did. Yeah.
Was I nervous? Hell yes. I'm with these people. What if something goes wrong? What if they tell me, whatever. So we'd already run the lines. And
which is incredible, by the way. What a consummate professional that Patti LuPone wanted to run the lines right away. And, that's exactly how you hope it will be every single time. But I have a feeling that it's not. But yeah.
No, well, sometimes it can't be. Sometimes you are coming onto set and they've already done another scene. This was the first scene of the day. Yeah. They're doing another scene, and you don't run the lines. You just show up and you're working with the lead who doesn't fly in on an airplane, flies onto the set, does the scene, and goes back to their trailer. And that's not because they're a superstar or anything. It's because they're exhausted. They were shooting all day yesterday, and you're fresh and excited. And you got to understand it's a production, which I was clear. At any rate, so again, spoiler alerts. It's possibly. I don't think we really did too many yesterday, but the spoiler alerts. There might be spoiler alerts. So if you want to watch the show, shut us off right now. So the scene was in a hospital, and Patti LuPone and her daughter come running in, and myself with the studio head, Dick, played by Joe Mantello, and I'm the studio head of publicity, are in the waiting room of the hospital. So Patti LuPone, who we've already met, she's been super nice to me. She just points right at, "Do I know him?" She says to the director. Points at me. "Do I know him?" A little, very serious, it's not offended at all. It's a great question. She needs to know what her relationship.
Absolutely. That's just her doing her job. Yeah.
Yep. Stares at me and just looks me up and down. Again, she's not going, ugh, like, why do we cast this guy or this guy's perfect? There's no, it's just work. And she's like, yeah, you'd see him at cocktail parties. You know who he is. She goes, all right, I'm concerned. I know Dick. I'm close to Dick, so I'm just going to talk to Dick. And then Patti turns to me and she goes, and then when I talk to you, I'm going to lay into you. Great. Now I know what's going to happen.
You're ready for it. You're prepared.
Great.
It's great.
Sounds good. Now I don't have to do as much work. Then Sam is listening and she goes, well, wait a minute. What do I think of him? And she says, well, you just want to get a screen test.
Right.
He's publicity. So he's in your way.
Yes.
You don't care about him. And she goes, and the nicest person you could ever meet. She goes, well, I'm going to be really mean to you. I'm just like, great. Now we've got a scene. She goes, because she got that from the director. And then Joe Mantello was supposed to introduce me, and he said, you should say your own name. That makes more sense. And then we worked out the bit with the handshake basically, we all were working together.
Yeah, you have very giving people around you. These big name actors, and they're being super giving, and you created a scene right there on the spot, and it ended up being, that was most of what made the cut, was the stuff, it sounds like, that you guys made up right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is you keep doing it. You got to be specific.
Yeah.
And so here's my funny story about, Patti, I don't think I told you this. Maybe I did.
Okay.
Patti goes, we do the master shot, which felt like being on stage because you saw it was beautifully costumes, sets, props. You
mentioned the nurses, right? There are all these. Yeah.
When you watch the scene again, don't watch for me. If you watched it or you haven't seen it, just, they use the nurses, their hat, just everything. Great.
Is this where I talk about that I've watched it about 35 times and I'm obsessed with just that scene? And it's getting weird now. No.
Yeah, that is cute. This is our last show, people.
and my wife's like, do you love me or Todd? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, who can say? Your wife's pretty cool, Seth. I think you should stick with that.
I should mention right here, to digress again,
this is a digression.
She's the one that got me to go back to class. When we started dating, she was like, what's the one thing you could do right now that would have the biggest impact on your career? And I said, I've known this for a long time, that I need to get back into class. And and she pushed me to do it, and not hard. She didn't push me hard. That was all it took. It was that one conversation. but it made me realize like it was time,
Okay, that was a digression, and I'm going to go another digression.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can come back. We got time.
I see your digression, and I raise you another one.
I'm raising your digression. So there's the point, Pete. There's another point you have to get when you're here in Hollywood, and it's hard. You got to get people on your side.
Yeah, you need a team. I was thinking that exact same thing. You need a team. You need to build a team. Yeah.
Getting a wife or a husband or a boyfriend,
whatever,
or a girlfriend is difficult.
It's really hard here. That's a whole other topic. I don't know that fits into our show, but
that would be the fourth digression where you have gone too far, sir.
Yeah, that's too much.
But the point is, you need to have people on your side. So when you are on set with Patti LuPone, see how I circled back around?
That was brilliant, my friend.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get good at that. So, then we did Patty's shot, we did Sam's shot, we did Joe's shot, and we finally got to my shot, my close-up, where you're like, oh crap, like I'm getting a little tired because we've done so many takes. And everything went fine. Nothing, the notes were pick up your suitcase quicker, dude. Patty, getting, head up at the end. I like that. All positive. Everybody's working together. Crew, camera, hair, makeup. Everybody's fantastic. And so we do my first take, and I'm thinking, I'm sure 2 for coverage. That's normal, right? To do a second one for coverage.
Yeah, of course.
I've only got a few lines. And please nail them so we can all go have lunch. Please. And it's a little more, you're more nervous when the camera's on you.
Of course.
And we did a take, and they yelled cut, and Patti LuPone goes, I was terrible. We need to do another take so Todd has something to work with. And I said, you were fine. And she said, don't lie to me.
Oh man, that's such a great experience to have, man.
And it's so, so giving, so wonderful. And the point of it is, the second the camera's off you, you do relax a bit. It's a long day. You've been she's, what's the famous saying? Ginger Rogers did everything Fred did, but backwards and in heels.
I've heard that before. And I mean, you're great with these old Hollywood references, but that's exactly right? Is that she was working twice as hard as he was.
Yeah, she was. But then again, if she works better and faster and sharper, then my take's better. And so I would like to think that's the takes they used.
Right.
And, by that point too, hey, there are some times when what we were talking about earlier, when a star of a film like Patty, or, she's in every scene, if she has to go to another scene, they could do my close-ups without her doing her lines.
And that's a whole other challenge, right? Is that at that point, I mean, it sounds like, you would have at least had something because you've worked with her a couple of takes already, but sometimes you don't even get that, right?
At all.
Yeah, you don't even get that at all. And that's hard, having to work off nothing, especially when a lot of people train to work off your partner. Well, when your partner's not even there, you just have to as if it, and that's the whole act.
And that happens a lot on a Hollywood set. And it happens sometimes out of pure necessity. Right.
It's not that the other actor, the star, is being snooty or doesn't want to do the scene with you. And most times, that's they want to do. They understand, the best actors, they want to work with everybody and give everyone the opportunity, to give their best performance. But as you say, sometimes it's just not possible because of logistics, scheduling, and all that kind of stuff.
I think it was, I know who it was. I don't remember which one. I mean, after doing this off the cuff, but it was the musical Thoroughly Modern Millie, Carol Channing's first movie, her only Oscar nomination.
She got an Oscar nomination for that? That's weird.
No, she deserved it. Her singing performance, supporting.
Okay, I've never seen it. Yeah.
Oh, you want to talk, okay, you have a problem with Hollywood being light and fluffy, people. Watch Thoroughly Modern Millie. It stars Julie Andrews and Mary Tyler Moore. And then Carol Channing's a supporting. It's the 1920s. It's just a stupid confection. But, there's some little heartfelt scenes, but it was, I can't remember, it was Carol Channing and Julie Andrews.
Mm-hmm.
One of them had a monologue, and they didn't get around to it till the next day, so they had to do the monologue with the other actor there. And it was Julie or Carol Channing who came in the next day saying, well, I thought you weren't on set today. Well, I'm not, but you've got your monologue and you need somebody to talk to.
And that's incredible.
So there's, Carol Channing, well, both Carol Channing and Julie Andrews were Broadway trained.
Right.
And, actually Carol Channing did movies first.
Interesting.
Before she had Broadway success.
Yeah.
And, she didn't make it in the movies, but she made it in Broadway. And then came back and made a few more movies.
I can sit here and pretend to know what you're talking about, but like, this is where I need to brush up on my stuff so I can, be a bigger part of these conversations, because this stuff is important. This is Hollywood history and Broadway history that, you got to know it,
Well, and it's Broadway. I mean, it's Hollywood too, real stories. Cause Carol Channing won the Tony for playing Dolly, was a huge star. Everybody saw her, yada, 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 but she wasn't box office bankable. And Barbara Streisand got the movie.
Yeah.
And Hello, Dolly was one of the final nails in the coffin of the movie musical.
Right.
Old studio system. That's another whole show about how the studios changed. And there was a couple musicals that were the death knell of the Hollywood musical. They weren't viable anymore. And it took years before Little Shop of Horrors was a mild success, but Chicago was an Oscar-winning musical that kind of harkened musicals back. They're still not back, but La La Land, etc. All right, so that was a true digression, but so yeah, that's what it's like being on a set. That's my dish of Patti LuPone. And then when we were sitting waiting for scenes to be set up, the woman was beyond hilarious. Never stopped being funny and charming. So it was a privilege to be able to just laugh and tell jokes with somebody and just to be so open. Her and Sam were playing mother and daughter, and I was under the impression that this was early in the shoot and they didn't really have any scenes together when I watched the full show. So they were getting to know each other so they could play mother and daughter more. They talked a lot about where they were, because Samara Weaving is from Australia.
Right. She's an Aussie.
And she was in a TV show that I didn't watch, which I didn't look up ahead of time.
So that was one of the first times they worked together? Was that scene?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So it did shoot out of order. That's another thing, right? We can talk about how things, shoot out of order. And so These actors, they have to.
I don't think the characters appeared together till that scene. That was the first time those two characters were together. They were together after that scene.
Oh, interesting.
That's my point.
Yeah, I have to think back. I thought they had the dinner scene before that, but I could be wrong.
And they might have.
Yeah.
But even then, again, one of them could have called in later, and they just had no time to get together. And if the scenes, that's what we call acting, people.
So if we want to wrap up your on-set experience, I want to ask you one thing. What is the most valuable thing that you learned from being on that set, if you could pick one?
Wow.
It's a hard question.
About putting me in the spot.
Yeah.
Well, first off, I was extremely lucky because I have a lot of actor friends, not just Seth, not just the two of us.
I'm not your only friend.
Talked about a lot about being on a set. First off, I was extremely lucky to be on Ryan Murphy's set. The crew was amazing. My love of old movies and Hollywood, I had a bunch of friends going, you need to tell your agent you need to get on this show. And it worked. Because I know this stuff.
Right.
And I love this stuff. And
the stars kind of aligned for this
right.
for you.
So, I mean, I'm going to say per our show too, I'm plugging our show a little bit. It's that knowledge, it's that excitement being in wardrobe the day before. The wall was covered mostly with movie stars, Katharine Hepburn, Cary Grant, Dorothy Dandridge.
Where did you shoot? What studio did you shoot at?
It was at Gower Studios, but we were on location in Pasadena. It was a church basement.
Oh, interesting.
Built in the 1920s. It's like, how did they find this? It's a basement. And it looked like an old hospital.
Right.
And it was supposed to be a Beverly Hills hospital. So if it's 1947, that hospital would have been built in probably the 30s, because Beverly Hills was pretty rural all the way through the 40s.
Yeah.
Even through the 40s. So, yeah. So I think it's the love of everything and the respect of everything, the costume. I talked with I I was just
And you
starstruck with the wardrobe.
you
I
came
talked
in
with the wardrobe.
prepared, right? You came in like super prepared, like to do your part. Like you were ready. You were ready to go.
Again, two
Yeah.
lines.
Yeah.
So, you know,
But
and
still,
that's another tip. When you're hired off of your audition. So
right.
you probably should be doing what you did in that audition.
Right.
If the script's changed, it wasn't. So that's my point. I did the same thing. I was hired to do, the reason they cast me was because how they, especially important in doing commercials. That's another story. But
yeah,
in doing a commercial, they're trying to sell a product. And that's a big deal. So I think it's the history. I think it's the knowledge. It's having done over 50 plays and having done, I did a play in San Francisco called The End of Summer. That was all the 1930s. And it was, everybody was going to have their cocktails before they went into dinner. And it was about college students. And, so the vernacular, you're comfortable in that world.
Yeah.
If you're a 20-something actor and you don't own a suit, you got to go buy a suit. If you're an actor, the one thing you have to buy is a suit. Because if you get called in for a show called Hollywood, well, I'm only playing a 23-year-old, so they'd wear a suit.
Yeah, everybody wore suits back then.
Watch Hollywood if you haven't watched it yet.
Yeah.
So I was completely comfortable in my costume. So I think what I learned is preparation and respect. You're respected, so come in as a professional. I mean, don't mouth off. That's the other thing. Don't say, I'm going to change my part or I need to know.
Unless the director actually tells you to do that, right? To with a role like that. Yeah, that's another topic for another show, right? Is when to take those liberties and do things that to change things. It's different on a set by set basis, but again, that's for another time. I'm glad you circled back around to the whole coming in and doing it like you did in the audition. I think that's valuable, right? Because a lot of times smaller roles, when you get on set, you're not going to get a lot of direction, right? And they're just going to kind of trust you or time. So they're just going to kind of trust that they picked the right actor. They liked your audition. So you come in, you do it like you did in the audition. And I've heard this from other actor friends as well. And if there's any problem with what you're doing, then they will tell you. Otherwise you just keep doing it like you did in the audition.
You have to be more prepared for an audition to change things because you don't know the script.
Right.
Than you do on set. On set, things are a little bit more nailed down. Of course, there's exceptions to every rules. They could have changed the script.
Right.
And they could have gone a different direction. So you still have to be ready, but you have more time. Oh, I will tell a dorky story. I did think of something that was funny. It's learning is the biggest thing. You have to be able to pay attention. This was my first set. I am not saying I'm as cool as I felt like I was. I did learn something that I didn't know on set. So for those of you that don't know, when you're not, they have stand-ins, which I knew the term stand-ins. Yeah. Stand-ins are people that are your height.
Right.
They place on set so they can place the lights while the actors get a drink, rest. Right. Patti LuPone was on set all day long. She worked all day. She never stopped. The rest of us got breaks.
Right.
She was in every single scene. It's a tough day for her. Everybody needs to eat. That's another reason why they feed you, so you're not cranky. I know stand-ins light the set. I know that. So they said, when they called us onto set for the first time, they're like, all right, let's bring the A-team in. Well, I thought they meant A-team like
B.A. Baracus and do.
Like the great people. Also, the stars. So I didn't consider myself the A-team. I considered that would be Joe, Patty, and Samara, right?
Right. Right. Yeah.
Even though I'm in the scene. So, of course, the longest take was the first one because it was the master shot. And then they have to rearrange, put the camera in the room and start doing close-ups. So they go, great job, cut. Everybody, they said, A-team could go sit down, bring the B-team in. And the other three actors left.
And you're like,
I stood there because I thought they were the A-team,
right?
And the I don't even know the terms. The director, the assistant to the director, whoever was corralling us, stood there and looked at me and he goes, "Are you coming, Todd?" And I'm like, "Oh, I was just napping there. tried to cover it. So the B team, I guess, was the stand-ins. I didn't know that was a term.
So did you have a stand-in for your role?
I guess it was
Okay.
such a small.
Yeah.
Because we were on set, on location, not on set. Everybody was in these tiny rooms, so I assume our stand-ins were in a different room because hair and makeup are in rooms with you because Patty and Samara had crazy hair and needed it to be fixed every scene because
very often too stand-ins have the same color hair. So I wonder if you did have a stand-in, I wonder if they found a red-haired guy to be the stand-in.
And people can have multiple jobs. So my stand-in was probably the same stand-in as the lawyer who did the next scene.
You know, I don't know about that. Sometimes stand-ins, there's union rules with that stuff. So I don't know if they can actually. I have friends who have done a lot of stand-in work. Like my friend was Lizzie Kaplan's stand-in for a couple of seasons on Masters of Sex.
Cool.
Yeah, and then my friend Rosemary did it for a couple of South to Check In. And it's just, you know, I'm really glad we're doing this show because this harkens back to the fact that I don't know everything. And there's always so much more to learn to the point where it can get a little bit exhausting, you know, because as actors, often really all we want to do is work on our craft and learn another scene and work on another monologue. But there's so much more to it, you know, for better or worse, that we have to be savvy to.
If you're coming to us for knowledge, then you're in the wrong place. No.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's not why we're doing this. We are trying to teach you. We hope people are going to teach us, and we're learning more. Well, we'll learn more as we go along, hopefully.
Right.
I mean, I know it's a pandemic, but there are things to do. So
there's always, this is a great time to learn things, you know, because you have all the time in the world to Google search, like, what does a stand-in do? So this is a great time to learn what you don't know.
Is that our homework, Seth?
There's so much homework, so far. Ah, God, Todd, is that what the word feels like? That sound. I don't like the word homework, you know, because it's a turnoff. Like I was such a good student and such a nerdy student, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Like I was an incredible student, but then I got tired of it, and I never wanted to do that again. So
I was a good student. I wasn't a great student.
Yeah.
I struggled with certain subjects. That's probably why I became an actor. So
anyway, wrap it up.
Yep. We'll wrap it up. But homework. We will have homework actually. Now that I think, you know, the more if we keep doing this, if you all keep loving this stuff, we will also do our due diligence.
What's not to love?
I think we're lovable.
I think we're good. I think we're doing. I really like the direction this is going.
I got my microphone, my headset caught in my button into my shirt. See, so
technical problems. Don't let that happen on set.
All right, catch you later, Seth.
Catch you later, Todd.